Please, listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
What is the relationship between stupidity and victims of brain-controlling Iraq, a kind of scapegoat? Greetings to you. This is an important topic, and I reveal the puzzle or what the game is. Of course, I have experience managing NGOs, but I am currently in Iraq. I do not have any organization at all. And when I started my search for the scapegoat issue, of course, I knew there was a game. Brain control gangs are a terrorist network, but they claim to be organized. They have a leader who disguises himself, and he is not a victim of choice at all. Rather, the victims of the selection do not have any relationship with this gang, meaning they are not a director of it, nor are they the ones who have any members registered for them, nor are they the ones who choose leadership elements for them. Also, they do not work with it and are not affiliated with it at all, and they do not have half of it, followers, money and property. But they are just bodies that are made a face or a scapegoat for the leader of this gang only. It means that others look at them as if they are the leader of the gang and they are the one who leads it or gives orders and registers elements and chooses etc. from filthy lies. Also, these victims do not know anything about the laws of this gang. Because they are not from it and they do not have any position in it. Rather, they are a scapegoat for the true gang leader. Of course, only some of the victims are, for example, being deceived, for example, thinking that they have received a gift from God or that they have gained authority from God. The victim is simply someone will come to him to give him, and thus the foolish victim will think that the voice of God or a guardian angel has become with him.
Do they find these idiots? Is there like just a place where idiots hang out and you can just go up to them like, hey, would you do this for me? Would you do that for me? Would you go annoy somebody for me? Would you do something that is morally wrong for me?
The gang is the one who implanted his brain control chip on him and they were spying on him while he did not know this, and he thinks that God is watching him. Of course, the foolish victim did not think that if God gave him something, then he would not give some food, but something that would make him strong. I mean, notice that the gang gives very trivial things. They want to destroy all the power of the victim in her, but the most important thing is money. That is why they do not give him money at all, but rather it remains like a donkey and a carrot running after it only. They assume the description that they have become something important also. We find some victims of swindlers who resort to playing with the gang and think that they will obtain something that they think is a sacred organization with God, and if they knew that it was a gang, they would not play with it. Also, in this case, the gang easily overcomes them. Of course, the gang has professional cadres with all kinds of lies and deceit, too. They always make the victim's family with them and buy the victim from them so that the victim's family will be ready to kill the victim even when an order comes to them. The victim's friends are also exploited, but these will have less harm to the victim. Many of the victim's family. Also the internet is exploited in an unusual way, and also everything is reserved for them, and even the phone and mobile networks will also give a number to the victim. They notice that all this is happening and a stupid victim does not know anything about him. Then the game of exploiting his body begins. It is a very dirty game. Means.
With your relationships as well, they're gonna try and get as much information as possible from your friends as well. They're going to try and talk about your church. They might whisper into your ear that your church doesn't want you anymore because we know what you did sort of 2 months back. We know that you did something unpleasant, that sort of thing. So this is they're going to try and talk about your church. They might whisper into your ear that your church doesn't want you anymore because we know what you did sort of 2 months back. We know that you did something unpleasant, that sort of thing. So this is
my friends, they have deserted me. My family have started doing what other people are doing, the same thing, harassing me too, yelling at the
family as well, family and friends. It's going to be very hard for them.
Describing what's classically called a thought reform program. And all those terms mean that a person or an organization has put into place a coordinated program of coercive influence and behavior control.
Now, I think this is satanic. The purpose of this is to cleanse the group as a whole by sacrificing the scapegoat. This is seen within the dysfunctional family headed by the narcissist as a righteous, guys, pinpoint that word righteous, because I'm going to make a point about that, as a righteous thing to do, while also possibly obtaining a life of narcissistic supply. It is perhaps from the perspective of the dysfunctional family that the scapegoat is not an individual who possesses a heart, a mind, a spirit, a higher consciousness, or even a soul. The scapegoat is devalued within the dysfunctional family. So basically, guys, what we have here is the child who was pinpointed, unfortunately, to be the scapegoat. Not only are they devalued, but within that devaluation, they are demonized by other family members within the dysfunctional family. And this is headed by the narcissistic parent.
Thought reform is a systematic effort which has two stages. One is the breakdown stage.
To that, as I told you, I was the director of one of the civil society organizations in Iraq, but I closed my organization because of the departure of the international forces, and after that, terrorism took over Iraq, which is this dirty gang as well. The important thing, I was the director of the organization, and I had a special record in which I recorded the members of the organization or whoever wants to belong. After submitting a written request with this also, I had laws that I work with, and they must comply with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Also, we had a financial record, and I knew something for myself also. I had a well-known place, not in my family's home, cafe, or mobile. Also, if I had orders, I would call the phone or go by myself, or when we meet at the organization's place. And be very frank, etc., while looking at the tricks of this gang that made itself organized. First, the disappeared gang leader, as I told you, hides in the body of the selection victims, or made them like a pole on which a camera was placed. Look how he plays, and this is important so that the victims know about it. Those who may not believe my words and say that they do not have an organization and did not register anyone and have no place in it and they do not have any records, etc. Of course, this is true, but according to the law, but this gang has devised dirty laws that it is difficult for the victim to get rid of. It is impossible for him to work with them even. Here I ask if the victim, does he eat and drink? Of course, he will say yes. Here this means record items, give orders, choose, etc. Also when he takes any meat or uses something. Also when he speaks or 3 at, or he hears, sees, wears clothes, uses a mobile phone, writes, reads, etc. Also when he goes to any person, etc. Also, the victim's family's home is the place of the organization. Now, did you know the game? The devil spy, who is the leader of the gang, is the one who works with these laws that they can absolutely not control. Until if the victim committed suicide, then this cursed spy does what he wants and does not stop. I mean, if the victim isolates himself from others in order to avoid that this spy record them, this will not work either, because he will also make thinking of if he is recording or giving orders, etc., because he uses the brain control chip in order to read the victim's thoughts. Note the dirty game. Also, many of the problems that come to the victim are caused by the fact that this Satan spy registered others and then expelled them or appointed a person on them. Of course, as I said, this spy does nothing with him, meaning that the victim just eats anything, so he begins by recording or giving orders or choosing. If the victim knew this and said frankly that he should eat because of hunger only, but this spy will not abide by anything and continue to work as if he is a cow who does not understand any language and does not recognize any law at all and continues to act only as he wants. Of course, this is not the victim's secretary and not his guard at all, or someone who carries out orders. For example, if the victim says, "Give me the sum of 20 million and change your laws and unscenes," he will not implement anything. While he claims that everything he did and every person who registered him in the gang is borne by the victim. Of course, it is a crime of impersonation, acting illegally, and no authorization in the name of another person. Of course, this gang or organization is not the victim, so he cannot close it. Also, he has no power over it, so that for it, he fixes it. He also cannot give it up, give it, or leave it. Rather, it is only one thing, which is only disinformation. It is a spy who works only what he wants. And he wants to throw the result of his actions on a stupid and foolish person who only makes him a scapegoat for him in Iraq. Demon hides in someone else's body.
If you feed a hungry priest, and your lady are not pass by, there's a hungry man here. Look here, can't you see it?
Mom, what's that? Oh, that? That's just a scarecrow.
The mind snatchers. They kill the spirit. They steal the conscience. They control the mind.